Welcome back to our show. I'm Jed Dietrich, president of the Dietrich Law Firm. You can contact me at 839-3939. I'm joined here at this point with Captain Joseph Flanagan, who was a 30-year veteran of the Town of Tonawanda Police Department. So let's talk a little bit about your personal experience, Detective Flanagan.
Well, I grew up in Buffalo, was raised in the town of Tonawanda, where I went to school, graduated from Carl O'Hara, went on to Hilbert College. Attended the FBI National Academy during my 30-year service with the police department, and after 30 years, I'm now retired.
Tell us a little bit about what happens when you get the call over the radio. What are you supposed to do when you get a call of a rear-end collision on the 290 in the town of Tonawanda?
Well, several things are happening simultaneously. Depending upon the nature of the call, the police will tailor the response to that scene. If it involves a report of injury or airbag deployment, then obviously they'll be responding with lights and siren, be moving along a little more quickly than normal traffic response, because of course if they can't get there safe, they're of no use at all. But the first thing we would do is arrive at the scene, try to set up somewhat of a perimeter to protect the scene against any encroachment of other vehicles in traffic that could come in and further complicate things. They will also simultaneously be checking on the safety of any victims, determine the extent of their injuries, and then summon any medical personnel or ambulances that may be needed, any support services like public utilities, accident investigators, whoever we need, and we'll get them rolling to the scene right away.
And that's what I like to tell my clients. After a collision, the police need to be involved. You need a police report, and that's very important, because what we do is we take the information from the police report, conduct our own investigation to help you. We work with the Town of Tonawanda Police or the Amherst Police or the Hamburg Police. We also work directly with the District Attorney's Office in serious injury cases. I had a case in the last couple of years where an individual unfortunately passed away as a result of someone's negligence. A school bus driver didn't see this person, and a death occurred. It was a very difficult case. It's the type of case that it's difficult for me to handle, because I'm dealing with people who have lost a loved one. However, we believe it's the type of case we can excel at. I work on these cases in conjunction with people like Captain Flanagan, and also in conjunction with people from the District Attorney's Office. And then we have our own investigators who will perhaps review the data from the black box. Many, if not most, of the cars right now have a black box in them. So we'll get that information typically through the District Attorney's Office and potentially have our investigators review it in terms of the speed and the braking and when the airbags went off. So there are many things that can be done. The important issue is contacting us at 839-3939 so we can get involved. So if you or a family member has had a terrible collision like this, or God forbid if you've had a problem where one of your friends or family members has died as a result of someone's negligence, contact us immediately at 839-3939. Joe, tell us a little bit about your own personal experience with regard to a lower back condition.
Well, I had suffered a lower back injury from an injury on the job, and over several years the situation became worse and worse with the pain and the problems. I eventually ended up in surgery. Was lucky enough to find a neurosurgeon, skilled, and he pretty much got me back in the saddle again, pain-free, and able to carry on somewhat of a normal life again.
Okay, and that is important for people out there to understand that our firm goes along with the conservative philosophy to get you the treatment you deserve, that you require to try to avoid surgery. So we have a team of doctors and specialists that we work with to look out for you, whether it's physical therapy or going to a chiropractor or pain management, or ultimately whether you need surgery or not. So with regard to you, Captain Flanagan, your surgery was a success, I believe.
Yes, it was.
And are you now back to work?
I am.
And again, that's important for people out there to understand, because the clients we like to work with, the clients that are the good clients, the clients that are telling the truth, the clients that are seriously injured, those are the people that we go out of our way to assist and try to get back to work so they can move on with their life.
You're intelligent, you're smart, you're hardworking, and you're honest. You're very straightforward. So I knew if you said you were going to do something, you did it.
You represent your client, and I was a client better than anybody I know.
I would definitely recommend you. It was a great experience.
Your office was very helpful in reassuring me that we would get this handled that as quickly as possible, and that, you know, I'd be on the road to recovery, and we would move forward.
All of those wonderful qualities, your brightness, your hardworking nature, your attention to detail, your ability to project, and your heart make you an exceptional attorney and a fine gentleman.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Jed Dietrich, president of the Dietrich Law Firm. We're here today explaining to you what to do after an automobile collision, what to do after you've been injured and it wasn't your fault, what to do when you have an injury and you don't know who to call. You'll hear from medical professionals, legal professionals, and former clients who will distinguish my firm from the other firms. Contact me at 839-3939. John, thanks for coming in here today. John is a former client of mine. He's not being compensated for his time here. And unfortunately, John was in the wrong place at the wrong time and he was injured. He's going to tell us a little bit about his story, which is very unusual. John, tell the people out there what happened to you.
I end up going to this laundromat, and I go in, and a guy comes behind me in the back door. I set my laundry down, and I turn around. This guy is in my face and told me to give me my wallet and my money and everything else. And, you know, from that point on, we got into a scuffle, and I end up getting stabbed throughout that scuffle, and here we are today, really.
So just to review for the people out there, John is in Buffalo. He goes to a laundromat on Main Street in Buffalo to do his laundry, and he's approached by someone there who attempts to steal his money, to rob him in the laundromat. And a scuffle ensues, and John attempts to defend himself, and this perpetrator, this criminal, ultimately stabs you. In what area of your body, John? Where was it?
On the side and the back.
How many staples or stitches did you need?
Altogether, I think it was about 18.
18. So horrible the situation here. John's minding his own business. So how does the Dietrich Law Firm come into play? Well, John came to me and said, I think there might be a history of some security breaches or lapses at this particular laundromat. And I said, John, this is a horrible thing that you've gone through. I want to try to help you here. Let me do some research. So with your assistance kind of putting me on the right path and researching through a private investigator and through former cases, we were successful in finding that this particular laundromat had a history of violence and robbery within the facility. So we made a claim and brought a lawsuit on your behalf against the laundromat and the owners of the laundromat, saying, hey, you didn't provide proper security to your patrons on the facility grounds. And ultimately, we forced them to pay. And it took some time. It didn't get resolved right away. But with your assistance and the assistance of your medical professionals giving us your records and you trying to get back on your feet, we were successful in resolving your case. Why don't you talk a little bit about what it was like to work with my office?
Oh, it was a great experience. You know, like I told you in the beginning, I had reached out to a number of law firms that said they couldn't help me. I didn't tell you that at first because I didn't want you to be another one, so I just came to you with the information, and you know, it was a great start. Like you said, you looked into it, and here we are today.
And that's important for the people out there to understand. We are here to help you. You may not have a slam dunk of a case. If you were rear-ended and you're injured, call us for sure at 839-3939. But if you have a problem and you have a complex problem, we're willing to get behind you and fight for you. Now, we don't take every case that comes in the door, but obviously John makes a good impression. He was a good historian. He told us honestly what had happened, and what we did is we preserved his rights, and got him a resolution that was fair. And what we also did was we held the owners of the laundromat accountable for not providing proper security. So yes, they had insurance, which is good, and their insurance company compensated John for his injuries, but hopefully down the road, they're going to have better security, maybe a security guard there or cameras or whatever, so that someone else doesn't get hurt. And that's what I like to do, try to help people who have been injured and hopefully correct the wrong in the future. So how are you doing now, John?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Are you from Buffalo?
Absolutely.
Okay, where did you go to high school?
McKinley High School.
Okay.
Go Max.
All right, I like that.
Yes,
and
sir.
At the time you were injured, you were a union carpenter.
Yes, sir.
And are you still a union carpenter?
Still a union carpenter, local 276.
Good stuff. And have you been able to go back to work considering the fact that you were injured?
Yes.
Okay,
No
good.
problems there.
Well, I appreciate all the things that you've said here today. Is there anything else as we sit here now that you think might be important for people out there to know about my firm as they make a decision as to whether they call my firm or, let's say, a big firm or another firm?
Oh, no, I would definitely recommend you. It was a great experience. It was personal. There was never any lapse in time that went by that you didn't reach out to me, let me know what was going on, where we were at in the case. So it was a great personal overall experience. I didn't, talk to the next guy down the chain or a third-party person. If Peggy caught me, she contacted me and put me directly into you, said, hey, Jet wanted to talk to you. So I really appreciated that because I was very comfortable with what was going on and how you handled things.
People may wonder, John, if they ever caught the person who committed this crime upon you.
As far as my knowledge, no, Jed.
Thank you, John. And it's important for people out there to understand that I can help you even if the police can't help you. So call me at 839-3939. Thank you for tuning in. Jed Dietrich here, the president of the Dietrich Law Firm. We've got some information for you if you've been injured and it wasn't your fault. Here with me right now is Christy Smith. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she's a former client of mine. She's not being paid for her testimony here today. We're going to talk a little bit about what type of problems you have psychologically after an injury and what it's like to work with my office when you are a client. Christy, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how were you injured?
Well, I was driving along Transit Road and normal rate of speed, and I was rear-ended by a teenage driver.
Okay. And again, if you're out there now and you're saying to yourself, I've been injured, I was rear-ended, we're here to help you at 839-3939. So Christy, tell us about what it was like right after that collision when you were rear-ended by the 16-year-old.
Well, a lot of shock, disbelief, fear of what comes next, injury. I knew I was injured, didn't know how seriously. There was a lot of angst between, the driver and myself, so there was a lot of, anxiety producing emotion, things that had happened.
Sure.
So I, felt sort of lost in the whole process and what comes next.
And then when you went to the medical professional and you told that person about your accident and getting rear-ended and your injuries, that person suggested to contact me?
Yes. And when I explained to him about the accident, he said, well, it sounds like the other person was negligent and you should get some protection. And I know a great attorney that does great work.
I appreciate that, Christy. When someone comes in and says, I was rear-ended, I have trouble driving now, I get nightmares, what types of things do you do for them to try to get them through the pain and the discomfort associated with that?
Well, first of all, there's a process in which we debrief them. We go through the accident itself, what their emotions were at the time, sights, smells, sounds. We have them sort of relive it to process through it. And then we work on some cognitive behavioral techniques to reframe the thought process and some of those automatic reactions that you get, the physiological. People get panic attacks, sweats, they lose track of where they're at. There's lots of lots of things that happen with somebody with trauma.
And again, this is a good spot right now to talk to the people out there. If you've been injured, it wasn't your fault, and you have physical injuries, and you may also have psychological injuries. What you need to do is get that checked out. Get to a medical professional. Make sure that your rights are preserved. So if you're in an accident, your friends or family are in an accident, get a police report right away. Get medical treatment, go to the emergency room, and then contact my office at 839-3939 so we can do what needs to be done to preserve your rights. So let's talk a little bit more now about your personal circumstance, Christy. What was your main injury as a result of being rear-ended?
I had a torn ligament in my right ankle and a slight fracture.
Okay, and with regard to those injuries, tell us a little bit about your treatment and what it was like to be injured and then to try to get back on the healing path and then back to work, because you do run your own business.
Well, it was very painful, first of all. Quite an inconvenience to running my private practice. I was very concerned about time off of work, you know, and your office was very helpful in reassuring me that we would get this handled that as quickly as possible, and that, you know, I'd be on the road to recovery, and we would move forward, and that you would take the lead in that I didn't have to worry about the paperwork, the dealing with the other medical professionals, the other insurance company. You know, it was all handled, and I was kept informed along the way, which was really nice.
Well, that was my pleasure to work with you, Christy, because it's obvious, and the people out there can see this. You were injured, it wasn't your fault, and you wanted to get better. And you went to therapy. Unfortunately, you had to have surgery. No one wants to have surgery, but this is an important point for people out there. You have surgery to get better. You have surgery so you don't have as much pain, so you can correct whatever the injury was, so that you can move on with your life. And as we sit here now, I know your injuries and your accident were a number of years ago. How are you doing now?
Doing very well. Pretty much full recovery.
Good. And you're back, obviously, to your social work and your counseling. Mm-hmm. That's great. Is there anything else about the interaction with my office or your experience as a client and also as an expert in the field that you think the people out there might want to know about?
Yeah, I've worked with attorneys in the past, done some testimony in court, etc. Haven't always had the best experience with people skills, and working with trauma survivors, I know how important it is to make a connection with the professionals you're working with and feel comfortable and taken care of. And I felt that way from day one with you. You met with me personally and reassured me, gave me what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, time frames, and made me feel very, very comfortable that you would have it all handled for me.
Thank you so much for saying that, Christy. And again, we're out there for you at 839-3939. We will sit down with you. We will go through all the time limitations. We'll take care of you with regard to trying to refer you to the right people, and then hopefully make a recovery like you have, Christy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Welcome back. Jed Dietrich here from the Dietrich Law Firm. You can contact us at 839-3939. We have Terry Blackie, who's a regular on our shows, here to talk with us. We've got a question from the audience. Colleen, if you could start with a question for Terry.
Sure, we have a question. Why don't you tell us your name and give us your question?
I'm Laura Galvin, and I wondered, Terry, how long the whole process takes?
Well, in my case, it took a couple of years because the insurance company fought us every step of the way. They questioned everything my doctor said. I had to go back to their doctors. It was just back and forth and back and forth. But they finally had to take care of me. I mean, thank God for Jet and them, because I wouldn't have done it on my own. It was, I was just like, I kept calling his office. They called me, they said this, what do I do, And they're like, calm down, don't worry about it, we'll take care of you. And, say this is the game they have to play, but we know the rules to the game, and they took care of me.
And that's important. We're here to help you. Terry brings up a good point. The insurance companies, frequently your own insurance company, will cut you off of treatment. They will stop you from going to the doctor. And a lot of clients say, I'm okay, I'm going to go back to work. And that's fine. If you can physically go back to work, we encourage our clients to do that. The problem is when you're not physically able to go back to work and the insurance company doctors say say you can't go back to work, but they don't want to pay your wages anymore, or they don't want to pay for your medical treatment, even though they find some problems. What we do is we get behind each of those clients and get behind those cases with our doctors and with your medical records to try to make sure that you get the care and treatment you desire. And again, we were talking a moment ago, Terry, about the psychological impact of being injured in an accident. Why don't you address that, Terry?
Well, the first thing, I really thought that because I didn't feel anything in the beginning, I thought that now they're not going to take care of me. You know, I should not have said that. You know, I don't know what to say or whatever, but you know, you guys said, no, you are injured. It doesn't matter what you said. Afterwards, it's what your body is feeling. And I was just stressed. You know, I still had to drive kids to practice and everything, and every time I had to stop, I'm looking around. Every time they're screeching things, you know, you just did this knee jerk, you just tense up. And then you get the call from the insurance company, well, you really don't need this. Who said that? What doctor said this? Well, we have another doctor we want you to see. And you helped a lot, because the only thing I had to do was call Jed Dietrich. Peggy held my hand. You said, don't worry about it. I'll call them. And you got back to me so much. And that's what I like about you, Jay. You called me back. It's not like I talked to someone else. I talked to you. And I've had friends, family that have come to you since then, and you have grown tremendously. There's so many more people in your office, but guess what? They're still getting the call from Jed Dietrich himself.
And that's what we do. I give every single one of my clients my personal cell phone number, and you may think at home, do you get calls every weekend 24 hours a day? And I don't, because what we do is we stay in contact with our clients as the case goes along. We contact every one of our clients at least monthly. We encourage our clients to come to the office. You don't need an appointment. If you've got a case or you think you have a case, you can stop by our office. We're at 1323 North Forest at the corner of Maple and North Forest in Amherst. We've got our own parking lot. You don't have to go downtown. We're there to help you. I'm there to help you. My staff is there to help you.
Thanks, Jed.
Thank you, Terry. Debbie, thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming in here this
You're
morning.
welcome.
Tell us a little bit about your experience with working with me relative to other lawyers that you worked with in the past. I'd like you to compare and contrast the way I handle my cases.
Well, Jed, you're intelligent, you're smart, you're hardworking, and you're honest. You're very straightforward. So I knew if you said you were going to do something, you did it.
Well, I appreciate that, Debbie. And again, I'm glad you're here to speak to the people out there, because they have questions, and the questions they have can go from what happens to me after my injury, how do I get my medical bills paid in a car accident, your no-fault coverage pays your medical bills up to $50,000. They also reimburse you for your lost wages. If you're in a swimming pool accident like Debbie was involved in, there is not someone to pay for your bills along the road. So you need to contact a lawyer such as me. You can contact me at 839-3939. We can facilitate your ability to try to get back on the right road to recovery with getting to the right doctors and managing your finances. It's important to note, Debbie, you did come into the one case we're referring to now. This is a catastrophic brain injury case that I handled on behalf of a young lady that was drowning in a Buffalo pool because the lifeguards were texting while they were supposed to be on duty. And again, it's outrageous, this behavior, but we're looking at people who are lifeguards. They're younger people. They don't appreciate how injured folks can be. And I can guarantee you this, that the folks that were involved in this particular case, the lifeguards, they're going to pay attention now in the future. And that's what we try to do as lawyers. My job is to hold people accountable so that hopefully their behavior in the future is changed and that they can provide a better level of service, perhaps, as a lifeguard to you in the swimming pool, and they won't text their friends on deck while they're there. And that was a horrible case. So, Debbie, if you would, I'd like you to talk a little bit further about your experience working with other lawyers. I know you and I have had the pleasure of working together on some significant cases, and I've had the pleasure of having you call me and ask if I could handle some cases that have been referred to you or people that asked for personal injury help from you. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I like the fact that you're very straightforward, and that is important to me. I like the fact that you're honest. What's critical, I think, in the cases that I particularly try to refer to you is not only the dollar value of the settlement that the client may obtain, but also how that money is going to be dispersed to the client. And it is that ability to attempt to foresee the future needs of the client. That does not always happen. And you are interested in what is the net that the client is going to walk away from. What good is it if all they can do is buy a cup of coffee afterwards?
That, and then again, what you're getting at is down the road, if they get a substantial sum, let's say it's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. I've had many, many $1 million results. The question is, what is the client going to end up doing with those settlement proceeds? And I encourage my clients generally to get a stream of payments to reimburse them for wages, let's say, if they can't work into the future. Then people know what's coming in the door. So they'll take a lump sum, let's say $200,000 or $300,000, and instead of getting $200,000 or $300,000 up front, they might get $100,000 up front, and then structure into a stream of payments and the extra $200,000 that allows people to not end up giving all their friends and family loans. It ends up with them not buying a fancy house and not affording the taxes on that fancy house or buying a fancy car. I have had probably in excess of 20 clients over the past 10 years or so have come to me and said, thank you so much for encouraging me to take a stream of payments for my money, because I would have lost it, or my friends and family would have requested me to give them loans. And I tell my clients, this is your money, this is your only opportunity, and this is important for people out there. You have one chance, if you're seriously injured, to make a recovery. And I know that, my staff knows that, and we make every effort to maximize our ability to help you maximize the value of your settlement. And we do whatever we can to try to help you in that regard. Debbie, is there anything else after we've spoken here that you think is important that we haven't talked about?
One last point. Now, no one is so wealthy that they can do this work all for nothing, or pro bono, as we say in the legal profession. However, if you are going to be a true embodiment of the word advocate, then you really have to have heart. And it isn't all about the money. And Jed Dietrich, you have heart. It's 3 years later, after this settlement has all happened, and you're still calling me to see about the well-being of that lady. So that's the last thing. What all of those wonderful qualities, your brightness, your hardworking nature, your attention to detail, your ability to project, and your heart make you an exceptional attorney and a fine gentleman. And it's a pleasure working with you.
You helped a lot because the only thing I had to do was call Jed Dietrich.
You're intelligent, you're smart, you're hardworking, and you're honest.
I would definitely recommend you. It was a great experience.
You represent your client, and I was a client better than anybody I know.
I'm Jed Dietrich, the president of the Dietrich Law Firm. I'm here to help you. If you've been injured and it wasn't your fault, contact me at 839-3939. If you've been rear-ended, if you've been T-boned, if you've fallen and a railing was loose because of someone's negligence, contact me at 839-3939. We are here to help you. We are here to handle your medical bills. We are here to assist you with reimbursement for lost wages, and we are here to represent you to obtain maximum compensation for you for your injuries. Contact me at 839-3939.